sky, but the night is calling, the night's calling me. I don't wanna fight, and the city's drifting away.
Man, when they named this thing, it was no joke. Welcome, everyone. I am One True Brick, coming at you with another LEGO Exo-Force review. Today, we will be looking at the Special Edition set number 7714, Golden Guardian. This set was released in 2007, had 267 pieces, and retailed for $25. Sadly, that price tag is no longer anywhere near accurate. If you are looking to pick this bad boy up, and you want to complete your 2007 collection, you must be willing to shell out around $60 or more at the time of this video for a used version of the set on either eBay or Bricklink. Yes, unfortunately, because of the nature of its special edition title, this set is kind of difficult to find. It was only available at Toys R Us when it was released, meaning that it had a shorter supply run and is more difficult to get nowadays. So keep that in mind if you are interested in purchasing it. So the Golden Guardian was the spring special edition set, kind of keeping in step with Supernova in the kind of $20 range. It's the only set that really received a slight bump up in price, going from $20 of Supernova to $25 for this set, and it definitely is worth it in terms of the piece count. However, I'm not entirely sure that they had to up the price. I think they could have probably still had a significant amount of bulk to this set for $20, or at the very least distributed the weight a little bit better. As you can see down here, there is a lot of bulk to the legs with these 4 side attachments with hoses, and they don't really seem to serve a whole lot of purpose. While they aren't bad by any means, they don't really feel like they needed to be there. So that's something of note. I'm going to really quick show a side-by-side comparison for the continuation of this. If you look at this, you can see that the Golden Guardian tends to share the same basic design of the $15 sets of this year, being that it has this kind of T cross-section as a base for the build, although the Golden Guardian seems to add a little bit more bulk. In addition to this, there is a ratchet joint here. I assume when using a ball joint design, they discovered that this particular cannon arm was a little bit too heavy to be held up by a ball and socket, so they stuck with the ratchet joint, which is an absolutely fine decision. There doesn't need to be a lot of extra articulation in that particular arm, and it works fine. Continuing to look at this build, you can see its namesake definitely holds true. There is a large amount of pearl gold parts along with gold stickers on top, which give it a very, very shiny appearance, and you can definitely tell that it's got some sort of special feel to it. And I actually really appreciate back in 2007, this was kind of prior to when LEGO went nuts with gold and silver parts. Nowadays, just about any Ninjago set, Chima, or Nexo Knights kind of uses transparent parts and gold and silver parts very, very in high volume, so it doesn't really feel special. But back then, in 2007, there wasn't quite as much of it, and it actually felt very cool to get a set with lots of gold parts in it, especially the gold stickers, which actually have a much more shiny chrome appearance than the parts themselves do. I would say it's a definite improvement upon last year's Supernova, although it still tends to kind of keep in the very simplistic build that these bipedal battle machines have. There are quite a few differences. Most notably, the legs are a lot bulkier, although I'm not entirely sure that was the best use of those parts. I think they could have been distributed better to maybe have some more interesting wings, or maybe add some more bulk to the cannon, or just it could have been distributed better, and I feel like these four attachments on the legs aren't really necessary. It also means that the set actually loses a little bit of its posability and articulation potential simply because you can't actually close the legs all the way due to the massive amount of bulk that we have there. So keep that in mind if you're planning on posing this set. There's not a whole lot of posability that you get in the legs. You get some pretty typical, you can slightly spread them out, you can slightly tilt it back or forward, but it has enough bulk on it that you can't really do a whole lot beyond what I have shown you here. I really appreciate the use of these particular gold pieces right here, the Technic shells. I think this is good use of creating a shield, and especially because of the articulation, you can actually brace this against the arm and almost make it look as though it's a an Assassin's Creed style blade that's attached to the wrist or the underarm and can be used to kind of stab into an enemy. While this was never actually shown in the comics, I feel like it as a bit of headcanon that it was a potential thing that could be done. In addition to this, there are some other nice parts usage, most notably right here, this column. This is intended to typically be used as a girder or brace for a building, but instead they've used it as the barrel of this weapon, and I think it's an absolutely fine use of this piece. I don't know if it's the only time that it showed up in gold, but if it is, it'd be very cool to see somebody get multiples of that piece and build some sort of golden city using it. So I'm glad that they included that particular piece. It's very good for mocking potential. We also get some nice system shells up here to form the wings, and the wing pieces right here. And overall, the feel of the set, I think, is very well accomplished. Golden Guardian, it kind of emulates this feeling of being like almost an archangel watching over the city, and it definitely gives off that appearance like it's some sort of heavenly creation. So I really appreciate the look and feel of this set, even if I think there are some parts that could have been done a little bit better. So I've already shown you guys some of the functionality of the set. Obviously, there's a lot of posability in the arms and legs. In addition, if you haven't noticed already, this cannon arm has a missile launcher on it, similar to the Iron Condor and some of the previous year's sets. And I will note that when I was talking about the Iron Condor, I pointed out the fact that the missile pieces had changed in shape. And I'm thinking, upon looking at this, that this might have been why. If it had the more ball-shaped, rounded appearance and stuck out further to the sides, I don't think you would be able to fit it in this cannon piece due to the closeness to the barrel here. So perhaps they chose to slim it down so that it can fit better within various different battle machines and builds in general. But let me real quick show you its functionality. It's kind of the same thing as the Iron Condor. You just press your finger backwards here, and when slid back like a trigger, it fires this missile. And I think this is one of the best functionalities of a Lego part, and has been around for a long time and still holds true to this day. In addition to this, we also get some nice articulation in the wings. You can shift them around on these ball and socket joints and also lift these extra additional wings on top up and down. And also there are these torpedoes that you can rotate from side to side. Lastly, the last major piece of articulation is that the cockpit can open up here to reveal the pilot, which is Hayato. And I think now is as good a time as any to take a look at him. So I really appreciate this particular year's version of Hayato. Hayato really got a lot of story in this particular year. The previous year, he was kind of the fourth not-so-important character. Ryo, Takeshi, and Hikaru really got the spotlight, and Hayato was put on the back burner. Even when he showed up to fight the Bridgewalker, it was for just one episode, and definitely the other characters got a lot more spotlight. On the flip side, this particular year, Hayato gets some of the most powered-up battle machines, and gets a lot more story content, most notably in the fourth book, Ghosts of the Past. And for the character himself, the minifigure, he gets his own redesigned torso this year. Instead of sharing one with Hikaru, he instead gets this white torso piece similar to last year. However, there is now golden armor here, and there is some blue tubing, almost like a real-life jet fighter pilot's gear. And then, of course, you get the classic white legs with black belt, and the double-sided head and hair that we got in previous years. That has not changed in the slightest, which is totally fine. You wouldn't expect that to change drastically from year to year. So one of the last things that I like to do when reviewing a set is to take a look at the story significance. As I mentioned before, Hayato definitely got more of the spotlight in this year, and it is most notable with the Arrow Booster. However, the Golden Guardian is still featured a fair bit. It was found by Hitami and Hayato while they were exploring the Golden Tower. Ryo, Takeshi, and Hikaru had already gone to the Golden City and all received their battle machines. Hayato had stayed behind at the Sentai Gate to protect everyone there, and then eventually, after the three primary pilots informed them that there was safety in the Golden City, he escorted everybody as they went up the mountain. And he had his White Lightning battle machine for a significant amount of time before finding this Golden Guardian, along with Hitami using a code brick inside the Golden Tower. It was supposed to be shared between him and Hitami. They had agreed, because they found it together, that they would be using it together, but because Sensei Kiken found out about this and wanted to protect Hitami, who was his granddaughter, he chose to not allow her to pilot it, meaning that the battle machine fell solely to Hayato's ownership. Later on, there was another code brick that was entered, and it was discovered that there was, in fact, a total of at least 4 more Golden Guardians, and it is presumed that these were given to other members of the Exo-Force team in order to defend the Golden City, meaning that there was an actual defense force of Golden City battle machines, which is a very cool thing to consider, because if there was only 4-ish battle machines in the Golden City, it wouldn't really make sense that that would be enough to protect it. So it's nice that they kind of doubled this defense force by having more Golden Guardians. Although it is a little odd that this particular battle machine, the special edition one that is hard to buy in stores, is the one that there's multiples of, which is a bit of a bummer. But alas, it still fits within the story. It was quickly swapped for the Arrow Booster. There's a little bit of confusion in continuity as to what order the battle machines were received in. So if you follow the comics, you will see that the Golden Guardian was used primarily by Hayato for a good chunk of time, and then swapped for the Arrow Booster during a single fight with the Combat Crawler X2. And then shortly afterwards was once again swapped back to the Golden Guardian during the massive fight with the Mobile Devastator. However, if you follow the Ghost of the Past book series, which I would assume, because Greg Farshty wrote it, that he did not involve himself in the comics, that there's a little bit of slight continuity error in that it seems like Hayato hadn't found the Golden Guardian yet, instead had the Arrow Booster for a while, and then switched to using the Golden Guardian afterwards. So there's a little bit of confusion there. I guess there is the potential that he had the Golden Guardian at the beginning of that, and just chose to switch to the Gate Defender, his smaller battle machine, for a brief period of time, or maybe the Golden Guardian was damaged, and then he switched to the Gate Defender, and then finally the Aero Booster, and then finally back to the Golden Guardian. It just seems like he would be jumping around to different battle machines quite a lot, which I'm not sure makes a ton of sense, but nevertheless, that is the end of the story information. So thank you guys for taking a look at this review. If it isn't already obvious, I think this is a pretty solid set. I like the use of gold and the Archangel appearance between it and the other $15 sets that were used. I think this is probably the best human battle machine designed for the bipedal build, not including sets like the Aero Booster or the Blazing Falcon. I think this set is very well designed and would recommend it as long as you're willing to shell out the price. I'm not entirely sure that $60 is worth it. However, if you are trying to collect all the sets, I would say that it's not too bad in comparison to some of the insane prices that you would find for Supernova and the Bridgewalker versus White Lightning last year in terms of special editions. So I thank you again for taking a look at this review. I will be back next week to take a look at the Combat Crawler X2 that I previously mentioned, the other special edition set for this year. Thanks! Bye! This turret can rotate and has an actual working function, unlike the disc launcher included in the Striking Venom.